It definitely started on, I would say, like Super Nintendo, the local, like, the kids who always thought, they were like the best at every game. That was really when the competitive edge started. Playing against the older brothers of my best friend, or in 2000 was when I started really getting interested in going out to tournaments, because I didn't even know there were tournaments. That was just not any arcade game that came out. I was an arcade kid. My family would go to Atlantic City all the time, and the arcades, they were fantastic. I would say WrestleFest was my favorite, my like absolute favorite game, because that's like a hybrid of like a beat 'em up and
Right.
that game absolutely captures the passion of Killer Instinct and takes it beyond to what it needed to be today. That is the only one I can think of off the top of my. The saddest part for me was that by the time I started driving, there was nothing. There was like, you could find arcades, but like nobody was playing. It was like 2001. Big E was, it was NEC2, and Big E was advertising UMK3, and we were like, oh man, we got to go out. Okay, I was one of those people who just left my computer running and on at all times too. So I would be like logged in for probably 45, 60 days at a time. But I know all my friends would all log out and everything. Why into that event, not knowing whether or not I was going to be able to run anything, because I didn't talk to anybody who was running the event. Fee was just like, I entered in 3 tournaments. I was going to enter Marvel 2, and then I played some people in casuals before, and I was just like, there's no way. There's no way I can. I'm not even going to have fun. And this place was just notoriously just unclean, we'll say. Everybody knew it, but we wanted to play everything. So we were like, let's go to Chinatown Fair. I was like, I've never been there. And it was like a 65-person wait, I think, or whatever. But the entire time I'm playing, I hear this one guy behind me. He's just talking trash. And I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm playing like mid-tier. I'm not, and he was this like, he was this like lone MK player. He played Human Smoke, and he would just kind of like show up after the tournament. I would say threefold. It's because the nostalgia is very popular nowadays with everything, and talking about like the old stuff. Not even at the event. I mean, the event was like 6 years ago. But the game itself being old, and if you watch that video, you see all the people who are there. How many people are still around in the scene who were there in that room that day? It's like a who's who of like the elites in the scene.
Yes.
It's just a fantastic, especially the reactions. Reactions is just a fantastic video for this nothing game. I've always been interested in doing production ever since I was a little kid. I used to do, I don't know how you would describe 4.
Wow.
NEC4, I think, was the first one that I really was like responsible for like running a tournament, I guess you could.
Wow.
So like I went for like 2 years just to play, and then basically Biggie was like, can you help me get like people playing? They didn't show up. They didn't bring systems. They didn't bring monitors or CRTs or whatever at the time. There was just not a thing to be had. Not until MK9 was announced. MK9 like really was the game that everybody was just like, we got to come out for this. This is it. Got to get off the pot. I was always big with working with people who wanted to get stuff done rather than competing against them, because you have people who like, they get very territorial, but seeing people just making those connections and like really forming like that community, and like there's like brotherhood, all this stuff is so important for developing a scene. And I don't know how you could reproduce that. I feel without VSM that MK9 would not have gotten the traction that it did in the scene. I really that's how Brady is. And I got to tell you, he is way calmer than he was 20 years ago. I mean, it's night and day, and people still are like. I was one of the invited. I guess you would just call it like QA, like, but we were told we were coming in as balance test. This guy, he said every single person he talked to said that we got to get you out here. I was like, that's a really like it's a really nice gesture from all the guys that were picked to test. So eventually they had to have like a sit down with us, and it was like, guys, you can't be working together, can't be playing together. Once I heard that, I was just like, okay, so this is still cool, right? It's still cool experience, but it's not what I thought it was. Like, I could tell, like, okay, this is a new community, like to like fighting games in I should say like the scene, not maybe to fighting games in general, but there were a lot of people actually who were new to fighting games for MK9 and Injustice
Yes.
in general, but they're not making games for competitive players. They're making games to be sold by the millions.
Yes.
So there's no, there's no excuse. People think that like this is what I'm interested in and everybody else I'm around is interested in, but they don't put into perspective that like they're not getting the sales from our community that they are from every other gamer. I know I get from some people they think like there's this like ego, um but I'm really more like trolling people in a way. Like these are individuals who are doing this. Even if it's like a group of TOs who are all, conspiring on something, like it's that group of people. It's not the whole scene.
What is the
Yeah,
NRS community in 2020?
I don't know. I
Choose your fighter.